Okay, so this week we are diving into a classic sci-fi noir film, futuristic noir film. A film that was not received as well upon release, but has since become a classic and influenced numerous films and other media in the past, 30 years. A film that, again, the theatrical release was not the director's vision, so we have numerous versions. And a film that has spawned a sequel, which we'll discuss next week, but a film that explores what it means to be human, and a dystopian future, which for us is actually the past now, because we'll get to that. I, of course, am talking about Ridley Scott's classic Blade Runner. And I'll leave it at that. We have a lot to discuss, Zach.
Well, Hunter, we have a lot to discuss, Hunter.
Yeah.
But I need to ask you the question, which is, but is Blade Runner good?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.
Hello, Zach.
Hello, Hunter. How are you today?
I'm good. We're here. I always mess this up. Anyway, welcome to the But Is It Good podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Callahan.
And I'm your host, Zach Olson. And we're talking about a movie today, but first we want to see how each other are. How are you, Hunter?
I'm all right. I'm good. Like, as a whole, life is good. As we discussed last week, because we recorded like last Tuesday, I started kind of coming down with something, right? You know?
Yeah.
And as a whole, I've stayed relatively well, but I lost my voice and my throat has been kind of sore. Well, it's felt swollen, and then this morning I woke up and it's really sore. But I lost my voice on the way back from Canada, and it's just not coming back. So I'm probably going to go to the doctor tomorrow because I'm tired of this.
Altitude can really exacerbate any sort of illness that you're going through. I remember we went to short side tangent.
You're fine.
I played in Carnegie Hall.
Oh wow!
in New York City when I was like 6-string cello, and
still counts.
But when we were on the way, our like star violinist. Carly Ryder, you remember Carly?
Yeah, I remember her.
She had like an ear infection, I think, or like she had something going on, like some inner ear thing. We took off, and about 10 minutes into the flight, her fucking eardrum burst.
Oh my god, man!
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
So she was able to play. I don't think she had as much fun in New York City as the rest of us did. When Ethan, Tyler, and I took our like solemn picture looking at the like John Lennon mural. Good times.
Well, flying, like, you gotta pop your ears. So like, ooh, man, that sounds awful. That sounds awful.
Yeah, it was.
But it was really.
So, anyways,
go on. Yeah.
All that to say that it makes sense that you lost your voice coming back, because it's like when you, it's like the pressure change can just like.
It was so strange, because like
I don't know.
I guess I was fighting it beforehand, but I like. Well, one, it was a lot colder in Toronto. It wasn't cold, but it was much colder than it was here in Atlanta. And it was really funny because, which we've discussed this, I've pretty much given up soda, but I'll have a Sprite on a plane sometimes, because sometimes just like it's almost like a ginger ale to me. Like, it kind of soothes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came by and I was about to order a Sprite. And a plane's kind of loud, But I went to order and I was just like, Sprite. And Sprite. I was like, what happened? Oh no. And then since then, I've been drinking tea today to try and get my voice back a little bit, because it's just like nothing, man. It's been really tough, but overall I'm good. How are you? Real quick, sorry, I went on longer than I should have.
I'm good. I'm getting over. I mean, I'm over COVID. I just can't do things. So like I'm not sick, but like if I try to move, I get tired. But other than that, I'm good. So I've just been hanging out at home
Hope you
watching
don't
football.
have long COVID.
Well, I thought I did. And maybe
Hasn't
I
been
do.
long enough. Hasn't been long enough to have long COVID yet, has it?
Sure. No, because I've officially tested, what was that, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? So it's been less than a month, right? I'm just been tired. Now, I did lose my taste, and it's back. Like, I can taste everything. I can taste those Sublime donuts.
That's good.
Ugh.
Nice. Oh, they're so good. They're so good.
Anyways.
I have to tell you, sorry, I got to tell you, last little tangent. I had probably, they might be the best donuts I ever had. So I was in Charlotte.
Not better than the Sublime.
Hold on. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina about a month ago. And I saw, Christine. Christine, her new last name is like, I think Wizname or something like that. Anyway, I saw her and her wife, Cassie. We had dinner together. And I was talking about donuts because I went and got a couple at this place. And they're like, no, you have to go to, it's called like Duck Donuts or something like that. Something kind of lame, honestly. So I had a little extra time after the show, and I went, and they're cake donuts made to order, served hot. So I got like a vanilla with sprinkles, a like chocolate peanut butter, and then like a salted maple.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave me an Oreo one for free. And so I got them, because that was like the first time. So I got them, and they're hot, and the icing is like melting. And I ate all four within like 10 minutes, and I felt awful afterwards, but they were some of the best donuts I've ever had.
So, I mean, that sounds really good because they'd be hot. It's like getting a hot and ready Krispy Kreme. But Sublime, we can just talk about this for an hour if you want.
That's fine. They're so good. I love Sublime.
So that place did cake donuts. And like Krispy Kreme does like yeast donuts, but Sublime does both. Like you can like I got a dozen. It was like a pre-assorted dozen.
Yeah.
And some of them are like this like dense cake. Ugh, it's so good. And then some are the like yeast style donut. And
I
hits both.
I think I've learned that I think I like a cake donut more. I think I like a denser donut.
They're more indulgent for sure.
Yeah, I think the best donuts I've ever had, I don't know. I was in Austin last year, and what it was that we were supposed to record like remotely, and you couldn't or whatever. So I had like a free night, and so I just wandered to this donut place and got a bunch of donuts, and they were cake donuts, and I was like, oh man.
I remember I was like, I'm so sorry that I can't record tonight. I would think I was sick. I don't know. And you were like, it's fine. I'm eating donuts. And I was like, okay, he's good.
It's
he's
good.
Eating donuts.
Those were so good. Ever since then, whenever I record, because of that trip, whenever I travel, I always try and find donuts because they're so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Blade Runner. We're talking about Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Last housekeeping thing. I messed up. I made a boo-boo. The creator doesn't come out in time for us to do it in September.
Okay.
So that's my fault. I apologize, everybody. We'll do that episode. It'll be October 1st. So we're going to do it it comes out the last weekend in September. So October 1st, we're going to release The Creator. But on the 25th, I believe that's the date, the 25th of September, which will be after. So we're going to do Blade Runner. We're going to do 2049. And then that last Monday in September, we're going to do another mystery episode. And this time, we're going to switch the roles. So you'll watch a movie, and I will not. And then I'll try and guess it. Yeah? Is that cool?
Yeah. That's cool with me.
My bad. I apologize. I saw a trailer for it the other day, and it said 29th, and I was like, oh, shit.
Maybe we got tickets to the early access, like the early screening.
Maybe we should have just run with that.
That's what I thought was going on. I thought you had gotten us tickets.
I'm sorry I didn't let you down.
I'm double disappointed.
I know. I told you that we'd never come back from this.
You're lucky that I don't retire you, replicant.
All right. Anyway, Blade Runner, let's do it. Zach, you can go first. I would like to hear your first thoughts. And what version did you watch? And was it your first time seeing it? I don't think it was. And then just thoughts, yeah.
This was not my first time seeing it. The first time I watched it was the theatrical release. So
The
this
really
was
weird,
different.
like voiceover.
Yeah. This was different. There were some differences, but I can't really. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm not sure if there's things that I just don't remember, or if this is like, oh yeah, this was added. There's at least one scene that I'm pretty sure that was added. Anyways, this is a weird movie, and I love it. Like it's just it's weird. That is my first impression.
Nice, I love it.
It is but then it hits you right at the end. Like something happens right at the end. There's like this monologue that like the first time I watched it and every time I watch it, I'm just like, shit. Oh shit. You know? So I mean there's not much more I can say without giving spoilers other than everyone involved in the film did a really great job. I think like the set design and just like the world is fascinating. I think the music slaps. It's like this mixture of like futuristic, but then it's got that like noir like you know like the
yeah. I know
thing
just,
going
I know
on.
what you're trying to say.
And I like it. I think everyone did a wonderful job. And it was cool to watch. It's cool to see these movies re-released in the director's like full vision of like this is what I wanted to release the air cut, and that's where I'll leave it.
Shots fired. I actually would like to see the haircut, but it sounds like we will, but who knows when. Anyway, yeah, I love this movie, and what's funny is that when I first watched it, it's been a while, maybe like a handful of years, maybe probably like 5 or 6 years. Yeah, like 5 or 6 years, or more. And when I first watched it, I was like, yeah, I get it. I get why it's so good and like influential. But I was like, yeah, okay. But this watch, I was like, this is a great movie. This is like it's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the final cut. I actually did some research on the original cut, and I don't think I've ever actually seen it. Because
Really?
I saw some clips from it that include like the now infamous like Harrison Ford voiceovers parts.
No, I definitely watched that cut the first time because I remember that like sticking out like a sore thumb, you know.
And I was like, I don't think I've ever actually seen that version. So I think I only saw, because the final cut came out like 2011 or something like that, 2009 or something like that.
Okay.
And I saw it after that. So I think I've only seen the final cut. But I think it's just great. I think it is so weird. The world is so strange. I think you're spot on by just saying it's a weird movie. I love the fact that it's the past now for us. It's 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Semi-spoiler, sorry. I know. But I love the like retro futuristic tech. You know what I mean? Like, obviously something went horribly wrong in this timeline and the world is just like a mess. But I think it poses so many interesting questions, and I think it's another Harrison Ford classic. And I just, I think visually it's groundbreaking, but also just the emotion behind it really actually is unexpected. And I think it's really, really great.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's really, really great. And I'll leave it at that for now. Time to move on.
All right. Yeah.
Let me get my timer.
Yeah, get your timer while I prepare people. Strap in.
Mm-hmm.
Because spoilers are ahead, and this roller coaster goes to 10. So strap in.
What?
I don't know. I was like, like you turn up the volume on an amp. I guess I could have said 11.
This one goes to 11. Okay, here we go. Movie in a minute. I've got 60 seconds to talk about this movie. No more, no less.
60 seconds to talk about this movie. He's gonna talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Movie. Yeah. I gotta bring it back home. 60 seconds to talk about this movie. Yeah.
Perfect.
Now
Amazing.
you can do it.
All right, this is Hunter is doing Blade Runner movie in a minute. Here we go. All right, I'm done. In 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we're in LA in the year of 2019. There's been a third world war. The world's kind of falling apart, but it's actually future. It's like LA looks like this megalopolis. This is dark and rainy. There's like radiation fallout. Something happened. The world fell apart. Anyway, there's replicants. They're androids, but they look like humans in every way. They kind of are humans, but they're quote unquote not humans. A few of them have escaped, and Blade Runners are cops who go track them down. So Deckard, which is Harrison Ford, is sent to go track down 4 replicants. He goes and he finds the first one, Leon, I think is his name. And no, I don't know. He finds, I forgot which order he finds him, but he finds him, kills 3 of them. He falls in love with this girl who actually is a replicant. And then he fights this other guy who's blonde. I forgot his name. He's like the main replicant. And he learns throughout his arc that replicants actually have emotions, maybe a soul, and he has to figure out who's really more human, him or the replicant at the end. That was awful. But I don't care.
that was pretty good. You got hung up on the setting, and you also said, okay, it's 2019, and then just like looked at the camera for a second like you were proud of yourself. So you lost like 3 seconds there.
Well, I also forgot the order in which he finds
is there a name for the replicant with the snake stripper?
Yes. Okay, so it is. She's the first one to die.
She's the first one to die, and then
That's what I
as they're dragging her body off of the asphalt,
that's when
then
Leon.
then
his name
Leon
is.
shows up.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because Rachel kills Leon.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, we can run with it. That's fine. I meant to mention earlier on in the intro and stuff that this movie is based off of a book by Mr. Dick. That's a
Philip K.
That's Philip K. Dick. He's written. All of his stuff has been turned into films. It's ridiculous. Like Man in the High Tower, Total Recall. But he wrote a book called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" And
have you read it?
I want to. I was just thinking about that earlier. But I would actually like to read it, and I never have.
It's not that long. It's like 200 pages, maybe.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty quick read.
I've heard that it's pretty different than the movie, but it was the basis for this. And then I also heard that the term Blade Runner came from something else that like Warner Brothers owned the rights to, and that he just thought it sounded cool. It was another franchise or story in which it was somebody who smuggled surgery tools.
Interesting.
Blade Runner. Anyway, so this happens in 2019.
Right.
So 4 years ago for us. Luckily, we didn't end up in this timeline.
But at least they still have Coca-Cola and Cuisinart. Did you notice the product placement?
And they have Atari.
You're right. They do have Atari. Yeah.
And Budweiser.
Mm-hmm. It was funny the product play, because that's like a brand saying like, not only are we going to place our products in this, but we're saying that we're in it for the long haul. Which Atari's not around, are they? They don't make things.
I mean,
anymore.
Technically, I think they exist, but not substantially. No.
Okay, but the rest of them, I was watching the movie, saw Cuisinart, and then looked over and I was like, hot damn, I have a Cuisinart. They were right.
Yeah, but I will say I do think that it does play into the story though, like you know what I mean, like just the bombarding of constant media. That's accurate, you know. And there's like because that's prevalent in the new one too. It's all those like the whole billboard type stuff. So yes, I think it is placement, but I think they used it well, and it kind of makes sense. It to me paints this picture of this society that's like so, I don't know, like they're more of the androids, you know, just kind of being told what to consume and X, Y, and Z, you know.
Right.
But anyway, we even I love the beginning of this movie. The long drawn shot of LA, you know, the fire's coming up, and then there's like that all-seeing eye keeps popping up. And then you have those like giant Mayan-esque pyramids in the background, which is the Tyrell Corp and stuff.
Right.
And it just paints this like hellscape, you know? Like,
yeah, there's also the thing that stuck out to me. Yeah, there's like the panopticon eye and the all the fires and shit. It is the fact that there's no fucking sky. Like even
yeah.
even when the sun's out, there's just no like clarity. It's just like smog and it's gross.
And it's never really talked about, but I think in the book it's more explicit as far as like there was a Third World War. And there was like a cataclysmic event that like changed everything. Whether that be like nuclear fallout, blocked out the sun, yada, 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 whatever. You can say what you want. There are folks like J.F. Sebastian who he has a condition that's like a mutation. He's aging fast. So maybe that's a theory that could lead towards like nuclear radiation, that kind of stuff. But I was listening to this thing and I saw this really interesting kind of comparison where it was like you see this giant cityscape, this megalopolis of this huge city, and it's kind of shown that we've just kind of kept building. We built up and built on top of, yada, yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, it should be and it is teeming with life. It's full of people. But when you see it, it feels like a wasteland. You know what I mean?
But also there's an entire presumably the building that we were in, that J.F. Sebastian lives in.
Oh, yeah,
right?
true. Yeah, it's empty.
It looks like it's like from a different generation. Like,
yeah,
you know,
maybe, yeah.
it's like rotting. What the fuck's his name? Excuse my language.
Who?
Deckard.
Mm-hmm.
Deckard is literally able to just like crawl through the ceiling and just like peel away the
That's
roof.
A good point. That's a good point.
Anyways, we don't need to get into all that, but yeah, it's grody. LA.
Yeah, I just think it's such a cool kind of. It's such a cool setting because it's like,
mm-hmm.
I don't know, like people laugh because there's movies now from the 80s and stuff that have gone to the future. Like Back to the Future, it's like 2015, and it's like, whoa, and it's like, we're in 2023, there's nothing's like that. But I think it's an interesting choice when you take the quote-unquote the future, and you're like, it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not some perfect, crazy high-tech, like, there's technology, but it's like, look at what's come of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at what's happened.
Right.
Anyway, we see the opening scroll. Sorry, let me get my charger.
We see the opening.
Siri, shut up. Go away. What'd you say?
I was just singing to fill space because you were getting your charger.
But even in the opening crawl, we kind of get this pointed sentence of replicants, and it says they're near copies of humans, and it says they're killed, whatever. And it says this is called a retirement, not execution.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have this pointing of like, oh, they're not really people. So before you even say anything, they're not really living.
Right.
Anyway, we can jump in. I know that was like all the opening, cold open, but we get to Leon and a Blade Runner who sucks at his job.
Yeah. Well, how does he suck? He's performing the test. What do you want him to do?
Well, actually, that's fair because Deckard kind of sucks at his job too. Actually,
how so? Why are you throwing shade at all the Blade Runners?
He gets the shit kicked out of him like 50 times.
Okay,
he's dead to rights more than once.
He's dead to rights twice, I would say, throughout the entire film.
He kills 2 of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 other ones had him. Like, they could have killed him.
Okay.
Leon was about to until he got shot in the back of the head.
But Leon got shot in the back of the head. I was going to say that Pris could have killed him, and I don't know why she didn't, because she had him like in a headlock, and she was like pulling on his nostrils.
Yeah.
And then obviously the main guy whose name is escaping me, Roy could have ended his life at multiple junctions, but Roy seemed like he was just sort of like there for the chase. Like he was like, I'm an android, or I'm a replicant. I'm gonna die. Let's just have some fun and like howl like a wolf, and then I'm gonna die and let this dove go. There's the ending, by the way.
Yeah, and that's something that I want to talk a lot about, so we can get there.
Yeah.
But, what do you think of Deckard, like just as a character?
It's an interesting, like, why is so? Let me answer that question by talking about something else in the movie. J.F. Sebastian is on Earth. He's a geneticist or whatever. He creates the genetics for the replicants. And I think it's Roy asks him, like, why are you stuck on Earth? Or maybe it's Pris. Maybe Pris asks him, why are you stuck on Earth? And he talks about his condition. And that highlights two things. One, like, only the discarded people are stuck on Earth. So, two, going off of that, what the hell's wrong with Deckard? Why is Deckard on Earth? I guess is like the main question that I have.
Well, it's funny because later on in the movie, it's earlier, after he gets quote unquote arrested and goes talks to his boss or whatever, we find out a couple things. One, the boss says, like, if you're not cop, you're little people. So he's saying, like, basically, if you're on Earth and you're not a cop, then you're like an outcast. But if you're a cop, then you're an authority figure or something.
Right.
But we also find out that Deckard apparently quit, right?
He did quit.
So
presumably after another job that almost took his life or something, I would assume.
And he doesn't want this one. You know,
right.
He's like, I don't want to do this. And I've heard a theory about this. If you want to talk about it now, we can. I was going to save this question till later. But throughout this film, there is a question, or the question becomes apparent, of whether or not Deckard is a replicant or a human.
Okay.
I know my opinion, but there's a theory that him being on Earth in the first place is proof of him being a replicant. And the fact that he's like, oh, I quit the Force, blah, 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 could all be an implanted memory to give him some sort of motive or a belief as to why he's there in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
So you think that even though replicants are outlawed, to the point where even though Rachel is like not violent, you know, like not a threat, she's still going to be chased her entire life until she just dies of natural causes. You think in that world they like the police force has one, and it's Deckard?
Yeah, I don't. I think he's human. I think he's human.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here. It also, when he goes to Tyrell Corp, and Tyrell is like super interested in him and like really wants to sit down and have a conversation with him, that backs up the theory that he's a replicant, because he's like, how do you figure this out? Interesting. That's so interesting. You know.
Yeah.
Also, wouldn't we have seen his cat eyes? His, you know, when
I actually think
the light hits him.
Yeah, and there's theories like his dreaming of the unicorn, all that kind of stuff. But I think the simple fact that he just gets the shit kicked out of him by all the replicants is proof enough, because they're all super strong.
Sure. That he's a replicant?
No, that's proof to me that he is not a replicant, because if he was, wouldn't he be like at their level to some degree?
See, I would almost say the opposite, where like Leon punches through like a thick metal plate and then punches him. So he's not as strong as a thick metal plate. Wouldn't Leon's fist have just gone straight through him?
You're right. That's a good point. Good point.
We know he's human because they have a 4-year lifespan and he's in the sequel.
Yes, but also, yeah, that's true. But also, Rachel didn't have an expiration date, and I can't remember from the sequel how long she ended up living.
She didn't have an expiration date? What do you mean?
No, yeah, she was like, I thought that was said in the really shitty like voiceover in the theatrical cut, where she apparently didn't have a 4-year lifespan. I think that's mentioned in the movie. I think it is. Like, she's like an experiment. Yes. Or so I think that's it. Like, they gave her memories. And
well, sure. To ease.
I can't remember.
Ease. So what Tyrell was talking about with that.
I'm gonna Google it. Keep talking.
Yeah. What Tyrell was talking about with that was, when they become self-aware and they realize that they're a replicant, they freak the fuck out because they start to realize that they don't have any memories. It's like when you're in a dream and you realize, how the fuck did I get here? Oh shit,
Yeah.
I'm in a dream. That doesn't happen, but like we think that it could. So so they basically implant them with memories so that it's harder for them to become self-aware that they are replicants. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was the experiment that she was given a childhood. I don't think. I mean, maybe she didn't have an expiration date, but I don't remember that being mentioned in this cut of the film.
This
The final
says
cut.
Tyrell also gave her an open-ended lifespan with no set expiration date.
Interesting.
But I'm seeing something else saying that Tyrell told Deckard that she had a 3-year lifespan.
Yeah, I thought her lifespan was shorter, and when she asks him like straight up, like, "You've seen my file, what's my lifespan?" and he like turns away real quick because he doesn't want to tell her because it would suck if she knew. I thought that was the thing going on in the movie, right?
Okay, hold on. Here we go. This person actually said that's not true. He said the only time Rachel's lifespan is brought up is in the voiceover on the theatrical cut when Deckard says she has no expiration date at all.
Okay, so
So
that was
the
added.
final cut-
That was added by like a producer.
Yeah, true, fair.
You see what I'm saying? But in
Interesting.
the in the final cut of the film, it's not mentioned that she doesn't have a lifespan. So it would be assumed that it's the same as all the rest
Yeah.
of them.
That's fair. Anyway, I'm not sure where we're going with this, but I think Deckard's interesting because he's kind of portrayed like, and maybe this is not very subtle, but like he's kind of the android. You know what I mean? Like he's this sort of non-emotive, just following his orders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when he kills, what's her name? The first girl.
What is her name?
Is it Zora?
Probably.
Yes. I'm pretty sure it is. When he kills the first replicant with the snake, which she's her back's turned to him, and she's unarmed. Mind you, she's very strong because she's a replicant, but he shoots her in the back like twice, 3 times.
No one even bats an eye. Did you?
I know. I did notice that. And when she dies, it cuts to like slow motion and like it's really dramatic and theatrical death that you would think is given to a person that we're like going to be devastated that they just died. Like it's like a hero's death. I think it's interesting that that's given to the replicant when it's Deckard who's doing the killing. You know what I mean? So it's like it's almost like painted like he's like this not so great dude because he's not really at first. I think it's interesting. Like he's kind of he ends up portraying all the things that the replicants are supposed to be, like non-empathetic, no emotion, that kind of thing. I think it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. What do you think? Shit. Where do we go from here? I want to talk about so many things, but they're all like kind of near the end.
We can keep going. I mean, that's fine. Whatever. Because we meet Tyrell and Deckard. I mean, and Rachel.
Right. They do the test.
Yep, the test.
can't remember the name of it.
It's called like, I can't remember. I thought I almost had it, but I forgot what it's called. No. The test is interesting because if I was going to say, what do you think of the giving memories? Because that comes back into play later in the sequel, like the whole memories of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What would your reaction be, like genuinely, if you like had all these memories and then realized that they were all fake and you were a robot?
Do I have emotion, or am I just like computing? Beep.
Well, I think at this point you would have to have emotion if we're so advanced. We're giving you memories.
Okay. I'd probably go on a rampage, but specifically towards my creator, not just like out in the street.
Mm.
I would find my creator and I would crush his skull with my hands.
After you kiss him in the mouth.
Yeah, because that's what I would do.
No, I think that poses just an interesting question of like, like this film asks so many questions of what it means to be alive and to have humanity, but also like people are just playing God. You know what I'm saying? Like they're literally creating life in the sense of like, I mean, to me, a robot is like, I mean, I guess, yeah, like non-emotive, there's no emotion. There's no desire for anything besides just the task that it's given, correct?
Sure. Yes.
And then these androids are like bucking the system to live more.
Okay, so I want to discuss this in a little bit more depth. I trust you've watched some YouTube videos, so maybe you can answer.
Yeah.
Maybe you can answer my question. But I've said Android a couple times. These are not like robots. These are like synthetic, like organic matter. Like dude is growing eyeballs in a lab, and they Tyrell is talking about, once we start like the gene sequence processing, blah 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 blah. It sounds like they have to like grow the humans, right? So this isn't. I wouldn't even consider this an android. It's like they're creating humans. Now they do have the eyes, so maybe they have like robotic eyes. What's up with the eyes? Do you know?
Oh, you mean like why they glow differently?
Yeah.
I don't know actually. That's a good point. Because all this says is, okay. It says in some fictional works, the difference between a robot and android is superficial, with androids being made to look like humans, but with robot-like internal mechanics. In other stories, authors have used the word android to mean wholly organic yet artificial creations.
Okay, I can buy that. See, when we were talking about it, I thought we were talking about like robotics, and I just want to be clear that this is not like robotic whatsoever.
Yeah,
this is like a human. This is the only difference between this and a human is that. I guess that's the question, right? Like, what is the difference between this and a human?
The only visible difference, aesthetic difference, is that if you zoom in really, really close on their like cells, you can see a serial number.
Right.
And that's pretty much it.
And then the eye thing, which it's funny that maybe that's just for our benefit as the viewer, because if the eye thing was like known in this universe, they wouldn't be doing that fucking test. They would just be shining flashlights in people's eyes, right?
What's funny is that I guess the other difference is that they're emotionally like they're not empathetic,
right?
Like they don't value life. They don't.
But until they start giving them memories, you see what I'm saying? So like the Nexus 6, were all of them given memories? Like was Roy?
I don't remember. I don't.
Chris.
I can't remember, but there's a part where like I think Leon's after some pictures.
Okay.
So that made me think that he had memories.
Right. No. Yes. Yeah.
But I can't remember if they were officially like given memories.
Unless he made them, because it seems like they're near the end of their life cycle. Because
they are.
I mean, we see what happens at the end of the film.
Yes. Is she playing?
Yeah, she will not settle for anything less than.
What's funny is that when you think about it, yeah, they're emotionally immature, but they're also no more than 4 years old.
Right.
So the emotionally unavailable, non-empathetic things could be okay, yeah, they're androids, but also maybe they just haven't developed them yet because they haven't been along long enough.
Well, and that's the whole point, right?
They act like children,
Is that they're not given emotion, and they found that they were starting to develop emotion over time. So because of that, they give them a 4-year lifespan.
They have a fail-safe.
So it's probably all the ones that are 3 years and 9 months that are holy shit, and they freak
I'm
out.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, it raises the question with Rachel specifically, what is the difference if she's given memories other than the fact that she didn't experience those things directly and she didn't grow up when she was created, she was, I would assume, created in an adult state. What's the difference between her and a human? You mentioned souls earlier. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's kind of the fact that she's artificial, quote unquote doesn't have a soul. But there's some symbolism later at the end of the movie that implies that maybe they do. I think the craziest thing about Rachel and her experiment is that she doesn't know. It seems like Roy and Pris and all of them, they're aware. They're on a quest because they know we're gonna die soon because we're replicants. But Rachel doesn't know that she's not human. And I think that's such a fascinating thing because it's it's almost like the Matrix where it's would we want to know? You know what I mean? Do you want to know that if this is all not, it's I think Pris says the line, I think, therefore I am. And it's a brilliant line for her because JF is talking about oh, do this thing. And he's we're not circus animals. We're alive. We're more than just feats of strength. And she says, I think, therefore I am. And that whole quote comes from this idea where it's I forget who it was, some philosopher from the past.
Deckard.
Okay, yeah, where it's this crisis of, is this all real? Am I really here? Is this all a fabrication? Is this all a dream? Is whatever, can be deduced down to, well, the fact that I'm thinking about it is proof enough that I exist.
Yeah, it was the first. So Descartes was asking the metaphysical questions of how do we know that we exist? How do we know God exists? Things like that. And he said, well, if God could be a liar, so we can't just take his word for it. So we need to break it all down and go all the way down to the base. Where do we start? Well, how do I know that I exist? I think, therefore I am. And that was the first epiphany, right?
Yeah. And it's safe to say that these replicants have thoughts. Right? And so, who's to argue that they aren't alive? A machine doesn't care if it's turned off or turned on, right?
Right.
So, if they're quote unquote machines, because I think Deckard even says something like that, where he was just a machine, or something where it's replicants are any other machine. They can, they're used for a purpose or something, and then when they're not, they need to be. Something along those lines, right? I think it's when he meets Rachel. He said,
just like she said, why are replicants dangerous? And he said, well, it's just like any other machine. They're either useful or they're dangerous.
Yeah, but so he implies them as a machine. And it's well, a machine isn't really fair because my computer's not going to fight for its life when I have to turn it off.
Right. But it's a way of viewing the world around them for the humans.
Oh yeah, totally. Just they're being retired and not executed.
a machine or like a tool is anything that humans can use for like a gain. So there's other philosophers that have, written about that way back in the day, but about the world around us and how, there are those who look at, I think the famous example was like the Rhine, which is a river in Germany. And how you look at the Rhine, you're like, oh, this is a beautiful river. But then if you look at the world from this angle of machines, you see that as a power source, and you start building fucking mills
turbines,
or whatever.
Yeah.
To harvest the energy and do things, right? So it's they're not tools, but that's how they're being viewed in this world, right? Just like most of the things around them are.
What'd you think of? Sorry, I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit because I want to get to the end so we can talk about it before it gets too late.
Okay.
What'd you think of Tyrell's death scene? Of like when JF, because we meet JF, he's like aging faster.
Mm-hmm.
He has all those toys, which are creepy.
That was a weird. His apartment situation was pretty damn weird.
Yeah, it's a strange setup. But let me go back because you mentioned it earlier. But the replicants are kind of working through the system of finding who to go to. So they go to the guy with the eyes.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. He gives him JF Sebastian. So they go find JF Sebastian. At this point, it's just Pris and Roy, and he's talking to them about, his job, blah 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 blah. He sneaks them into Tyrell Corp, to the giant Mayan pyramids. And Roy, I love the line because there's so many there's a lot of symbolism, at least with Roy, as far as like religious, God, son, yada yada yada. And I love the line when he is talking about what he wants, and he's like, I want more life. And he calls him father.
Yeah.
Which apparently, I didn't realize this. I saw it in video. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Apparently in the theatrical cut, he says, fucker. Apparently he says, I want more life, fucker. Excuse my language. And then it was changed in the post, like in the final cut, to I want more life, father. Which I think is such a big change.
Okay. I thought
I
thought that they recorded father, and then the studio said, no, we're going to change it to fucker. Just like they did the Harrison Ford voiceover. But okay.
Yeah, so in the final cut that we watched, it says father.
Right.
And it's crazy because, humanity views God as the creator or whatever you believe, but these beings are literally meeting their creator. He's like, you made me. It's such a wild concept to me. I think it's fascinating. And he point blank says it. He breaks the number one rule for a robot or whatever android. And he's like, I want life. I want to live.
Yeah.
And then they go through all those scenarios of how to fix it, and they can't.
What was interesting to me, I guess. Sorry, let me clear my head for a second.
You're fine.
I guess Roy didn't know that they were doing the memory stuff because he hadn't met Rachel. But it's interesting to me that, well, even then, if he was like, can you just take my memories and upload them to a new one without a lifespan? I guess that wouldn't be him anymore, right?
Yeah.
Would it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess in a way.
Let's talk about fucking The Prestige again.
Cutter didn't know, man.
Cutter knew, dude.
Have you seen Transcendence?
No, I haven't.
It's one of those movies where it's like somebody dies and their consciousness is uploaded. To a machine, which I don't even know how that sounds crazy, but are you, or are you just information?
Are we just information?
Well, I'm saying, if your consciousness is put somewhere, is it just your memories, or, is there consciousness? I guess if your consciousness is uploaded, but you see what I'm saying?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, are we anything more than our memories? because like you can have like a traumatic head injury and lose everything, and you're literally back at square one. You have to learn language. And in that process, you might develop a different personality. They've studied this in people who have had like horrible traumatic brain injuries.
That's
and
fascinating.
it's like they're not the same person once they're like functioning again, right? So does that make sense?
Not like they're not alive and well, but they're just a different person.
Right.
That's fascinating. That's really interesting.
So
wow.
You see where I'm going with this, where it's like, yeah, like I like to think I have a soul too, but it's not like it seems like it's working along with our experience, right? It's not just like, does that make sense?
Yeah, like I think your personality, I think a part of it is intrinsic. It's just kind of in you, but I think a lot of it is learned.
What I just said, sort of, here you go, baby, you want a treat. What I just said sort of goes against that, though, doesn't it? Where someone who was the same human, and so you'd think if they had intrinsic properties, they would remain the same, learned differently.
Is there nothing that's similar? You know, like any sort of
hair color, eye color, yeah.
But no sort of like personality, like as far as like they have the same humor, they have the.
They didn't smear shit on themselves before, and they also don't smear shit on themselves now. So things like that, yeah, I guess you're right. It's a good point.
Enough. That's really interesting, actually. That's super interesting. But I think it ultimately brings up this question, which we can talk about in the last kind of confrontation with Roy and his famous monologue of like, what does it mean really like to be alive? Also, this is a super side random tangent. Did you catch it's not a Guns N' Roses reference, but I think Guns N' Roses references this movie. Did you catch it when, I think it's Leon who says it, where he's about to kill Deckard?
Oh, and he says, you're in the jungle, baby.
No, that's not
die.
it, but close. He says, wake up, time to die, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and I was like, wait, that's what Axl Rose says before Welcome to the Jungle. Anyway, I think it brings up this question of like what it means to be human at the end, and I think Roy is the one who has more humanity.
Yeah. Other than the fact that he's literally acting like a wolf.
Yes, I understand that, but I think there's a point when it kind of changes. Mind you, he's just realized that this whole quest he went on has been in vain, right? And he's not going to be able to fix it. And Pris, who I guess he loved, that's who he was in love with, has been killed. So what?
The way he didn't just give her like a final kiss. He like pushed her tongue back in her mouth with his tongue. Ugh.
It was pretty intense. I also, this is a random note, but I hate the way people kiss in like movies from the 70s and 80s. I don't know what it is, but and earlier, they just didn't know how to do it. It's so unnatural. They just sort of eat each other's faces. You ever notice that? They're just like...
Deckard ate Rachel's face and then said, eat my face and tell me that you want me. Yep. That was a little...
Yes, I was actually thinking, I was watching that and I was like, is this coercion? Is this...
Right. Yeah, he slams her up against... Which I guess she's a replicant, so she could have just ripped him in half if she wanted to.
Yes, that's true. But I also... This is an uncomfortable thing to bring up, but circle back to the notion that emotionally they're all children. Like they're 4 years old.
Oh, God. I don't like this at all now. Yeah.
Well, no, but I'm saying... it's very strange when you say that. It makes it very uncomfortable. But I'm saying like... She might not know, she can't know what's happening right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she just found out, one, that she's not a human. And two...
What are you saying?
I'm saying, like, him just being like, now you say this, and then you kiss me. it's an odd choice. You know what I'm saying? Like for her to be like to say to her, would you meant to be like, okay, that's what you see what I'm saying?
That makes it worse. Are you trying to make it better or worse?
No, I think it makes it worse. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, it's all the way bad. It's all the way bad.
And then
then she lets her hair down, and I'm telling you, if you go back and watch it, I tried to take a screenshot, but I rented this through Apple Movies, and Apple Movies has this thing where if you try to screenshot it, it makes the screen black. So you
really?
can't.
That's so interesting.
So you can't get a screenshot. It's really weird, but she looks like Timothy Chalamet. I'm telling you,
that's hilarious.
Just in that one scene.
But yeah, those are really, and look, she says that she loves him, and
yeah, but it's not like a organic. I love you, Deckard. He comes home and he has a gun in his hand and he says, "Do you love me?" And she's just woken up and she says, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you trust me?" Yeah. So, just saying.
It is interesting, but they have a life together. Find out in the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So Pris is dead, and so Roy might have just been in a fit of just who cares? I'm gonna die in a few minutes because I can't extend my lifespan. Everyone that I care about is dead.
Do you think? Sorry, I know I'm interrupting. Do you think he had gotten his file and knew the exact moment that he was going to expire?
I don't know actually, but we keep seeing his hand kind of tense up, and so he has to know something.
He does the stigmata. That was added. That was not in the original. I do not remember that.
The nail?
Where he puts the nail through his hand. Yeah.
Which that's also very much symbolism. He becomes a savior. That's another.
Right.
But yeah, so I think at that point, the first half of this last little battle, he is just playing games with Deckard. And this animalistic howl, and just he becomes the hunter just in an instant,
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about. Well, go on.
Roy is an interesting replicant to me. Not that they aren't all interesting. I mean, one spray paints her face, and another one. Leon's kind of dumb.
Yeah. Well, Pris, I thought that was cool because she tries to blend in with the toys.
Yeah. Right.
And I think it's fascinating to have something that is artificial, who's striving to become, who wants to live more, then has to blend into something that's a toy again.
But do you think she was had a genuine want to stay there with what's his face, because they kill him, Sebastian?
No. I don't think so. I thought visually, I thought that was interesting that she.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
But Roy is interesting because he kills his creator, which makes sense to me. Why did you do this to me, sort of thing. But then he kills J.F. Sebastian, which I didn't quite understand. That was harder to follow because, what did he do other than be nice to them? I guess he had a hand in creating them. But then he breaks Deckard's fingers and then shows empathy to him, right at the end. So, you're led to believe that he's just vengeful, out to get everybody because he's gonna die soon, right? And then right at the end, there's a twist, and so I want to know if you think, well, one, if you have any other thoughts about the sequence leading up to that, but if you think he's good or if he's evil or if he's humans or both, right? Are you squinting at me or are you squinting at your computer?
I'm reading, this is a follow up to what you're saying. I think Roy was desperate, but I think ultimately he ends up being better than Deckard and teaching Deckard. I don't think he was good because the JF Sebastian, why not kill the eye guy then? You know what I mean?
Right. Did they let him leave?
It's never really shown. So they might have killed him.
Well, J.F. Sebastian's death isn't shown either, but he doesn't come home, so it's...
No. There's something. Yeah, there's like a newscast that says the bodies were identified as.
You're right.
So like,
You're
it is
right.
confirmed. But I think in the end, I think Roy demonstrates more humanity than Deckard, and values life more than Deckard.
Well, okay, so can I play devil's advocate here? Can I
Of
fight
course.
you for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
So Roy kills two people who have never really directly harmed anybody. Like haven't killed. I guess they're doing something awful. They're creating like an army of slaves, so maybe they deserve to die. But Deckard, the only people he kills are those who are like a threat, right? So Leon's about to kill him, Pris is about to kill him, Roy is about to kill him, and the first one, what's her Zora? She also like tries. Well, she tries to run, but before that, she gives him what for, if you will, right? So, while Deckard is buying into this system on Earth, one, he's not really given a choice because he tries to decline, and the dude says like, no, you're going to be a little guy, and he says, so I don't really have a choice, and he says, no, there's no choice here. So he's not really given a choice. But two, he also shows a great deal of empathy towards Rachel, other than the previously discussed questionable scene. And seems like he really wants to like take care of her moving forward, even though she is a replicant, and he knows that, right? So
Yes.
how is he bad?
Well, I don't think he's bad. I think what you just described is a character arc.
Right. But you said he's worse than Roy.
I think at the end, it still has to end up being Roy who teaches him the final lesson, who demonstrates the final like value of life or empathy, and he saves him. Like at the end, they're kind of the same. Both of their hands are crumpled. They're both severely injured.
That's where I was trying to get to, is that they're both the same. It's like we have a lot in common here, rather than like I'm better than you.
Yeah, and then Roy's the one who stops for a second. He sees him dangling there. You can even see him like a look on his face. He turns his back. He's holding the dove, and you can see it kind of change. And he, then at that point, he becomes the savior figure. He's even got the nail in the hand to prove it. But
stigmata.
Yeah, I know. But
I mentioned that earlier, and you said what?
No, yeah, I said it's the nail, right? Isn't that what the
stigmata?
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's he's a better example. He's the example that Deckard needed to see, I guess. And I love his monologue there. I think to me is beautiful. I'm gonna look it up fast. You can talk. He
says, you have no idea what I've seen. I've seen Zimmendorfs fly across the Nebula. And it's all going to be gone soon, like tears in rain. Time to die. And then he lets the bird go.
Yeah, he says he attacked ships on fire. Sort of right. Let me see what this is. Hold on. I love that. What do you think he means by that? I want your interpretation of that monologue.
He's saying that he's had experiences just like humans have, but now that he's dying, well, he's realizing his mortality, right? Not that he didn't realize it before, but he's saying like, this is the end. When I die, these memories are gone forever, and they're just going to fade like tears in rain. They're going to be overshadowed by other people's memories and other people's experiences who are still alive in the world. Earth and space, the final frontier, right? What do you think, man?
No, yeah, I was just reading it, and so I forgot that
Do
there's.
you say what you think, or do you say what you read?
No, both. I forgot that there's that one line beforehand where he says, like he's holding on, and he says like, "Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it?"
Yeah,
that's,
right.
And that's what it means to be a slave.
Which Leon says that earlier, right before he's about to kill him, and then he gets shot in the head.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's. I love the lost like tears in rain. Line is so beautiful, but also it's so sad to me, because it makes us, I guess, think of like as far as life, like what are we leaving? Like we don't take it with us,
Well, and not only that, but even if we do leave a legacy, and we have like a family that remembers us and all that bullshit. Sorry, I'm kidding. Eventually, it's going to be drowned out because in the span of like
generations,
the universe,
yeah.
Like eventually we're going to be forgotten, and I would assume that at some point humans aren't going to exist anymore, right?
Yeah, probably.
Probably in the next like 30 years.
Oh, yikes! That sucks.
Because the nukes are going to drop in a couple years, and then it'll take like 28 for the radiation to get the last of us, like everybody. So,
is that a reference to the show The Last of Us?
No, I wanted to clarify because I don't think The Last of Us show is about like fungi that turns people into zombies.
Okay.
I think it's mushrooms. I think they're mushroom zombies.
Okay, I haven't watched it or played the game. But no, yeah, I like it ends on such an existential thing where, we have that line, the tears and rain, and then Gaff is like, it's too bad that she won't live, but then again, who does? Like that's such a great last. Is that the last line of the movie? No, it's not.
Yeah, and then it gets echoed.
Oh, you're right.
It is the final line of the movie because he finds the little unicorn.
What'd you think of all the origami? Did you like the man with the erection?
Well, that's not origami because that wasn't paper folding. That was just a matchstick. But yeah, it was cool. It was interesting that at the beginning of the movie, that dude does not speak any English whatsoever, and then at the end he does, and he has also had a different voice. Like his voice sounded different.
Yeah.
So
well, it's interesting because like there's actually a little hint I read somewhere or I saw in a video where it was like if you watch that scene when he's like flying his ship down, there are instructions in English that he's listening to, so it's kind of hinted that he understands it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he doesn't speak it at all until the very, very end. And yeah, then they go on the run. That's the end of the movie.
That's the end of the movie.
So you have to ask me, right, Zach? Do your job and stop playing with your daughter.
Sorry for being a good father. I know that only one of us can be, and so I was trying to take up that mantle.
We can both be good dads.
We can't.
You're a great dad, Zach.
I know, because one of us are. I'm just kidding. Hi, baby. Come ask the question with me. So Hunter, but is Blade Runner good?
Oh, she's so sweet. Yes, it's phenomenal. It is a classic. It is another that I will nominate for at least my version of the Golden Oldies.
Okay. All right, she's getting frisky. I needed to turn around. I gotta ignore that behavior.
Zach, what do you think? Do you think it's good?
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's a classic. It is. When I was renting it, it was hailed as the #1 sci-fi ever made. Which think about the other sci-fi films we've got. Yeah. We've got all the Star Trek films. We've got the Star Wars films. We've got fucking Dune, the old Dune. We got a bunch of sci-fi films, right? There's more.
That's it. That's
But
the entire
this
list.
this one hails itself as numero uno. Do you think this is numero uno?
I don't know. I think it's. That's tough. Maybe. Because, like, I love Star Wars. I do love Star Wars. I think I like this better.
Then Okay. We can agree that this is better than the fucking Mandalorian or
No, I mean, like, I think this story to me gripped me more than, like, A New Hope.
this grips you more than like the okay, that's fair.
Now, hold on. Maybe not Empire. Empire is, I think, better
See?
than A New Hope. Empire is, that's
Right.
tough. Empire might be number one, but this one, I think this one, oh gosh, I don't know. That's hard. That's really tough.
Well, there you have it.
That's tough. Okay, should we do Every Movie Sucks?
Every movie sucks.
Every movie sucks. What song is that?
It's from one of the sitcoms. Da 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 da. Ba ba da 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 da. Which one is it?
I don't know. Okay, cool. This is the part where we talk about people who hate this movie because somebody hates the movie you love. I've got one. Are you ready? This is Najee, half star, reviewed about a week ago. Literally, what the fuck is this movie about? Roy, for some reason, starts howling in the end and skipping around the building with no shirt and trousers on. And that's not even the weirdest, unexplainable part of the movie. I watched this one before watching Blade Runner 2042, which is not the title of the movie. So I know the backstory, but I feel I probably know less about it now than I would have if I just watched that instead.
It's Full House. Give me a second. I was doing some research.
I'm going to read another one.
No, it's important to do research.
I'm going to read another one.
Here we go.
This one's by...
No.
I'm just
You
kidding.
will not. Beanie Trenton says, was there even a plot to this movie?
Oh, man.
If so, I haven't figured it out. Other than the aesthetic of the world and some of the cinematography throughout, I don't get why this film gets any of the love that it does. Also, just wondering if every actor in the film was playing a replicant due to every line of dialogue being delivered with zero emotion whatsoever.
That might have been on purpose.
What if they're all replicants? What if it's just replicants all the way down?
Maybe. This one's short. This one's Hamza, half star, said, that shit was super ass.
Damn. Isabel says, cool visuals and music, but boring as tar. I don't think they're just, like stating the movie. I think they're saying like tar, like black tar. I didn't give a shite about any of the characters. Waste of some great sets. We can agree that it had some great sets.
It does. I'll do one more. This is Kiunkis, half star. Just horrible. I have no idea why this movie is considered a cult classic. I don't think it's considered a cult classic. It does not deserve that title. Actually, they spelled that wrong, so I'm going to read it as they spell it, okay? Forgive me.
Title.
It does not deserve that title or anything at all. Horrid and horrific. The only thing this movie has going for it is the dystopian world idea. That's it. Well, it has that title.
Are you ready for this one?
Yep.
I'm more so excited about okay, I'm not going to say their name, actually. I'm not going to say their name. But this person, half star, the exciting part was their name, but I'm not going to say it. Just to clarify.
Why?
I'm just not going to say it. I don't know. I'm not going to say their name. This person says, this movie puts the ass in classic.
Well done. Well done.
Their name is Aaron, BBW enthusiast.
That's awful. Come on, man. Come on, Aaron. All right, there you go. Every movie sucks. Like I only have like 2 things for news because I've been lazy as hell. So give me like a really quick theme song for my segment because it's very short.
News, time for the news. It's short this week.
Yay. We got an actual trailer for Apple's Godzilla show. It's called Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. And then apparently Paul Walter Hauser has been offered the lead role in Quentin Tarantino's final film. And some other stuff happened, but I didn't pay any attention to it. How are the Braves doing?
The Braves are the first team in Major League Baseball to clinch a playoff spot.
Go Braves.
Go Braves. So that means we'll be playing at least 4 games. Divisional series is best of 7, right? It's not best of 5. That's just the wild card's best of 5?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll be playing at least 4 games. And if we get swept, then, But the Braves are doing well. Ronald Acuna is in the lead for the MVP race. I don't know if you know, but Mookie Betts injured his foot and hasn't played it all this weekend. He might be back tomorrow, but it's something to that would suck if he's out like the rest of the season, and that's why Ronnie wins, because it's such a tight race. Like it's literally like coin flip. I don't care what people say about the advanced statistics. It's coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
But, Matt Olson is setting, well, he's like 3 home runs away from the Braves' all-time record, I think.
Yeah, 50.
50, yeah.
Because they actually just retired Andrew Jones' number, and I think Andrew Jones holds the Braves record.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
Go Braves.
He's already hit more than Chipper ever did.
Yeah, that's
wild.
wild.
I love Chipper. So what does that mean about Matt?
It means Matt's going to be a Braves legend.
That's right.
I know I'm kind of hijacking your shindig. Go Braves. But the state of Georgia had a very good weekend, sports-wise. The Braves won their series, clinched playoff berth. The Falcons, what?
The Braves, they did not win their series, did they? Didn't they lose 2?
They won 2 out of 3. They won 2.
Okay.
I'm almost positive. And they play 2 games tomorrow, so go Braves.
Go Braves.
The Falcons won their first game.
You're right, they did.
Georgia
on Friday.
Georgia won this weekend. Georgia Tech won this weekend. And Georgia State won this weekend.
Let's go, Georgia.
So, yay.
And the biggest win, well, maybe not the biggest win, but it's a pretty big win. Alabama lost.
Hook 'em. Hook 'em horns. Hook 'em.
You're a Texas fan now?
No, I just hate Alabama. The school, the football team.
He hates the whole state.
The state's lovely.
You heard what he said about y'all?
Anyway, whiskey shots. I'm going to do my tea because I'm trying to fix my throat.
Yeah, I've got my whiskey right here.
Cool. To whiskey, we love you. I saw Jack today.
To whiskey.
You know, Jack is 10 years old now.
10?
10.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, to Jack and whiskey, but to whiskey.
Yeah, that makes
sure.
sense. That checks out. It's 2023, isn't it?
Yep. Bottoms up.
Ugh. Whiskey. Hunter, where can they find us?
They can find us. Zach's address is. I'm just kidding.
1227 Eustis Drive. That's not my address.
Don't know what that is. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at But Is It Good Podcast. You can follow us on X at BIIG Podcast. You can email us at BIIGpodcast@gmail.com or butisitgoodpodcast@gmail.com or butisitgood@gmail.com. We are wrapping up our Creator / Apocalypse Now / Blade Runner prequel series next week. We're going to have a special guest, my friend Corey Grispo. He works with me. He's like cinematographer and editor and loves Blade Runner 2049. He's going to be a guest with us. We're going to wrap that up. And then we're going to do this episode, and we're going to end. We are doing the creator, I promise. That's my fault. But we're very excited. And yeah, that's it. Please like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys next week.
And keep an eye out for T-shirts. We're going to be making T-shirts. They'll be available May 2024.
Perfect.
So keep an eye out.
All right, cool. Anything else?
That's it.
Bye.
I just wanted to say the T-shirt thing. Bye.
Bye.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.